Okay, if you guys are wondering what I'm doing here, apart from finding the CG which I had mentioned earlier, while I was installing the electronics, I just noticed some few very serious problems about this particular plane, which I thought I could do it once the plane is loaded and the CG is set and once it is ready to fly. But that wasn't the problem. That wasn't the case here, because this plane has got a lot of detailing in it, like these reinforcements which were already attached, and I thank God that I had not glued this surface onto the fuselage unless but till lately I realized there's some issue regarding the realignment of the control surfaces. Alright, as I had told you guys that the control surfaces were not aligned well, and that was basically the flaps and the ailerons. So when I tested, see, I have this this is my servo tester. When I tested this control surfaces and each of the servos, I realized that the servos were not centered. But I don't know for what good reason the servos were. When I initially bought this plane, the servos were all centered. Lately, during my course of time, I had tested a couple of times the electronics on this plane. I don't know, might be the subtrims or the trims might have changed, but I had gone ahead and checked my subtrims, but everything seemed fine, but the servos were not centered. However, for flaps, see, this is the servo that is used for flaps here. So this was aligned towards right a little bit. So what I had to do was, I tried with my help of my transmitter. I tried to subtrim it and also tried with the trims, but the values that the fly sky allowed was minus 120 degrees to plus 120 degrees. But I realized that wouldn't help in centering this servo. So what I did was simply just hooked out my servo arms, and that is unscrewed it from here and took it out, and with this servo arms which was was leaning towards right, I pulled it out and just realigned it. So now if you can see, it's centered. Okay, let me also show you how it's going to behave. Flip the aux key and see what happens. See, if you can see, the flaps are enabled, armed. So if I disarm it and see the gap, if you can see the gap between the aileron surface and the flaps, I am not seeing any kind of a difference, and the control surfaces are aligned properly well. So during flight I wouldn't face any difficulty while I engage the flap. So the flaps are realigned well, so there's no issue around it right now. Alright, coming to the aileron part, there's a single servo that has been used in order to utilize the aileron control surfaces, with the two loops with one end having to going towards the right hand side of the control surface of the aileron, and the other end coming towards the left hand side of the control surface of the aileron. So here it was pre-glued here. If you can see the surface here, it was pre-glued. So just like how I centered my flap servo, I wasn't able to do that, because I wasn't able to remove this servo and rearrange this servo arm to the servo. So all I had to do, I managed to do was go to my trims on my transmitter and trim it back to the nearest degree where I could help myself in order to get this servo almost to center. But however, it's still not centered. I think it'll be fine. If you can see, I'm just gonna show you how it's good. But however, if you can see the surface, it's realigned to the wings. So I wouldn't think it would be a problem. However, let me just show you how exactly the aileron control surface is behaving after I've made my trims on my transmitter. You see, behaves perfectly fine. It's acting according to the input that I'm giving on my transmitter. I'm not facing any kind of problem here. However, if you can see the servo arm with respect to the centering of the servo, I see a little bit of tilt of the servo arms towards the left side. So however, when I'm in flight, I'll go ahead and check this when I'm flying this plane, and if I notice a major change in it, I still can go ahead and change my trims, the immediate trims that I've got here towards the left or right. So I assume that this wouldn't be a problem. Alright, so that's about it. So I managed to, and okay, once again to tell you, the rudder and the elevator is perfectly aligned to its surface, fuselage surface. So I didn't face any kind of problem in realigning this. I think I had realigned it very well in advance. However, these surfaces are done now. So now, as I told you before, I'll be going ahead and using this homemade CG finder and loading up my plane with all my electronics and getting it on top of this parallel poles. Find my CG. This, if you guys, there are a couple of videos on YouTube how to make this kind of plan. It's pretty simple, guys. So I didn't find any difficulty in making one of these at home. So if you guys still have need some precise information in order to how to get this done, you can go to YouTube and just put in keywords like finding a homemade CG finder. You will be able to locate this. So anyway, I'll go ahead and quickly load up all my electronics on my plane and find my CG, which I had told it is 51 centimeters from the leading edge of the plane, the wings. Alright guys.